Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rob. This is RH Midwest Comics, and today we are doing another price analysis update, this time on the biggest books from the Bronze Age. Amazing Spider-Man 129, Giant Size X-Men #1, Incredible Hulk 181. So my price analysis, for people that haven't seen this before, I dive a little bit deeper into individual books. There are some other really good comic book content YouTubers out there that do other types of analysis that are also really good, and I like those. Swaggle House does one. I think he calls it the Comic Book Index, and it kind of looks at the different genres, not genres, but the ages, right? Silver Age, Bronze Age, Copper Age as a whole, and that's really good. Comic Book Investments also does something similar where he'll pick, 5 or so random books and look at what their trends are. What I do is I pick specific books, the biggest books from the ages. In this case, I'm doing the Bronze Age. I also do Silver Age as well. And I do updates every month or two. In this case, it's been 2 months since my last Bronze Age update. And just a reminder, last time we did this is what we concluded. This is what I concluded. So all three of the books had seen some of their lowest prices since the beginning of 2021, or even going back into 2020. And my conclusion is that we had not hit the bottom yet on all three of these books, right? Because that's what everybody wants to know. Have we hit the bottom? Are these books back on the rise? So we're going to get into that. And I'm going to do something else in addition to just looking at the added 2 data points and how this book has trended, right, for January and February, because those are the months we're catching up on. I'm going to look at each of the individual grades as well, just really quickly to show you what each grade has done over the past 2 months in terms of going up or going down. All right, so let's get into it. First book, Amazing Spider-Man 129, first appearance of Frank Castle as the Punisher. So last time we left off, when you look over on the right side of the graph, again, the last data point was December, and the average sale price was $3,422. Now, if you go back and look at the last video from December, these average sale prices are going to look different. It's because the same grades don't always sell in the months that I do the update. Okay, so I can only pick the grades that have sales during those months, and I don't like to go back more than 1 or 2 months because the data gets a little too old. So in this case, I've got everything from a 3.0 up to a 9.8. So we had lots of sales. And last time, I don't think the 9.8 was included because it hadn't had sales in a while, but now it is. So it's going to raise that average sale price. Regardless, the overall trend looks the same, right? Huge ups, big corrections. December was another low point. We want to find out now what happened in January and February. Well, I calculated everything out. And after I go through these 2 data points, I'm going to show you the grades as well, the individual grades. Okay? So January, what happened? Did the downward trend continue? We had 3 months in a row of decreasing sales on this book. What happened in January? Well, another big drop. Okay? And then in February, did it recover? Was it going to keep dropping? Well, here it is. Very slight decrease as well. So the overall average sale price drops to $3,142. That's another 8% down since our last update. So to begin the year, this book is still headed in the downward direction. But you guys know I like to compare the overall price to what it was like at the beginning of 2020, right? Before all the madness of COVID hit, before everyone was spending all of their money that they had because nobody could go outside or, go to restaurants or visit anywhere else, right? We're all stuck inside our homes for a long time. At least a lot of people were. So before all that madness happened, this book was just under a $2,000 book. Now it's just over a $3,000 book. So overall, this book is still up 65% since 2020. Okay, pretty good return on investment if you bought the books back then or prior to that time. All right. Now let's look at the individual grades. Here they are. Again, like I said, 9.8 all the way down to a 3.0. So if you see a red box, that means from December until now, right, our update ending in February, so 2 months of data, if it's red, that book decreased by that percentage. So you can see the 9.8 dropped by 14%. If you see a green box, that means that grade increased by that percentage. So overall, we have how many green boxes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green boxes and 10 red boxes because there are 17 grades included here. So just over half of the grades had decreases. So the reason I wanted to show this is because I think some people see that the overall sale price is dropping month over month and they think everything is dropping. Well, that's not true. You have some sales that increase from the previous month or the previous 2 months, and that's what this shows. But you look at the really expensive grades, the 9.8, 9.6, and 9.4, those all had double-digit losses, and obviously those are the highest value books, so they're going to have the biggest impact on the overall sale price, okay? So that's ASM 129. It continues to drop overall on average, and you can see, a majority of the grades also continued to drop, but there's some grades in there that showed increases as well. All right, let's move on. Next book, Giant Size X-Men #1, first appearance of the new team. When we ended in December, and I have a little note up here, if you go back and look at my last video, again, because the grades were a little bit different, December actually showed as a downward point. All right, now it's going up for a couple reasons. First of all, we're adding the 9.8 back into the equation because there were some 9.8 sales. But in addition, the biggest impact on this is because GPA, by the way, I get all my information from GPA. GPA's data changed, and that happens sometimes. They had some 9.8 sales and some other grades as well that went away, and some new ones that were put in that weren't there when I did my update. So even though I wait until the end of the month and pull my GPA data after that month is concluded, it doesn't mean the data won't change. And there are a couple reasons for that. First of all, not all auction houses report their information to GPA right away. I know for Heritage, for instance, it's there usually within 24 hours. I can watch an auction end on Heritage on a Sunday night, and sometime on Monday, I'll go look at GPA, and that sale is in there. But Comic Connect, for instance, it may take weeks for that data to go in, and that may be because whatever GPA and Comic Connect has set up is still more of a manual process. So anyway, I wanted to let you know that December data point looks a little different now because it shows it going up. Regardless, overall, there's a downward trend, right, on this book. So the question is, what happened in January and February? Well, here you go. January, another downward trend continuing here. I guess 1 point doesn't make a trend, but is it the beginning of a trend? Well, what happened in February? A little bit down again. So coming in at $4,255. So that's over a $500 drop to the average sale price. So this book is down another 11%. And again, right, it is the lowest average sale price going all the way back to essentially the beginning of 2021. But overall, the book is still up 68%. So very similar to ASM 29, right? The book continues to drop, but still huge gains over the past 4 years. Now let's look at the individual grades. A little heavier on the red here. You can see 1, 2, 3, only 5 grades had increases, although the 9.6 had a big increase. And that is because when you go back and look at the data, whether it was November or December, there was a 9.6 sale that was extremely low. And now coming into January and February, the 9.6s are still, they're higher than they were based on that abnormally low sale in November, but still lower than it was in like October and September and prior to that. So anyway, the 9.6 shows a big recovery there, but you see the 9.8, right? Also a huge drop, up a lot of double-digit drops here. 9.0, 26% as well. Very, very big drops on this book in most grades. So there you have it. That's Giant Size X-Men #1. So here we go on to our last book, Incredible Hulk 181, the first full appearance of Wolverine. So when we look at this book, back in December, this average sale price ended at a little bit over $8,000, but you could see there was a 6-month trend of this book heading down. And I think most of us are thinking it just can't continue, right? Or can it, right? Is it going to follow the same pattern as the other two that we just looked at? Well, let's find out. January numbers came in, and what happened with this book? Big jump. Really, really big jump. Even higher than the November data point. All right. So positive outlook, at least from January. Would it continue into February? Here we go. February, another small increase. So this book is now averaging $9,364 based on all the grades I included, which go all the way up to a 9.8. So this book is up 12% to begin the year, the first 2 months of the year, since our December video that we did. And overall, the book is up 62%. So what does this mean? I don't know. I don't know if this is going to continue or not. But let's look at the individual grades. So you can see this is not based on everything being green here. So a lot more green than the other two, but we still had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 grades that showed a decrease and 2 that showed no change. So the big one here is the 9.8. You can see there was a 9.8 sale that was significantly higher, 26% higher than the previous sales, right? Prior to in December and prior. Okay, so the 9.8 was taking some big drops, and I think it's showing some recovery. But I don't know for sure if that means that this book is going to keep going up. I also ran this data without the 9.8, so just 9.6 all the way down to a 3.0. And it still showed an upward trend, just not as much. Obviously, a 9.8 price is going to have a bigger impact on the average sale price, all right? But even without it, the price still went up based on all these other grades that were green as well. Okay, so that's it with the 3 books. Again, this is what they look like. Let's talk about some takeaways from this. So February, I'm saying mixed results. ASM 129, still some of the lowest prices all the way back to the beginning of 2021. Giant Size X-Men #1, lowest prices all the way back to the end of 2020. But Hulk 181, seeing similar increases this time of year to what we saw in 2023. And what I mean by that is, and I don't know if you can see my cursor here, when you look at the little graph up on the right, the beginning of the year, January through May or June, typically we see books increase. That's when the comic book industry and other things too, right? Stock market, things tend to go up. I don't know if it's because tax returns are coming in or other reasons, right? Spring fever starts hitting, the nice weather outside, and people start spending money. So we didn't see that on the other 2 books, but we're seeing it on Hulk again, Hulk 181. So my conclusion right now is that I think we could continue seeing increases through May and June, even on the other 2, even though we haven't seen that start yet. Again, right, we're in March now. I think March, April, May, we're going to see some prices, more grades showing price increases. We'll see, unless something ridiculous goes on with the stock market or the economy, because right now, if you guys know anything about crypto, it is on fire. Okay? Doesn't necessarily mean comic books will do the same thing, but I think we'll see it spill over a little bit. Okay, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. Really like doing these updates, and it's not advice to go buy books or sell books or anything like that. It is just my way of interpreting the data. And again, I put a lot of time into it. Hopefully you like it. Leave me some comments. Let me know your thoughts. Go check me out on Instagram. Check out my eBay store. I also have a website. Everything's RH Midwest Comics. Otherwise, I'll see you here next time on YouTube with my next video. Until then, have a great day.